What's up, Amazon sellers? You might have come across articles, videos, and discussions about IP claims and how challenging it is to resolve them. Well, in this video today, I'm going to share with you some of my most commonly asked questions about IP complaints and how to respond to them. Right, if you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Parkinson. I've been selling on Amazon doing online arbitrage for the last 5 years. In the UK, I'm a 7-figure Amazon seller, check this out. And in the USA, I'm a 6-figure Amazon seller, check this out. Now, hopefully in the near future, I'm going to expand to another marketplace. And if you're interested in learning how I'm doing it, what I'm learning, and what I'm sharing on my journey, do make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Right, enough about me. What are we going to go through today? Well, first things first, number one, I'll give a little bit of an introduction. And then number two, I'm going to go through all those actual top tips and commonly asked questions around IP complaints. So let's get started. Well, first things first, let's give a little introduction to the video. Now, before I jump into the content itself, let me tell you that in the next chapter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sharing with you some extracts from my YouTube lives. And this is a live stream that I do pretty much every week that I've put together the most commonly asked questions to help you with IP complaints. Now, you might be asking why I created this. Well, basically, this is to give you a really good guide of what other new sellers are asking, the questions they're asking and encountering, so that you can learn from them and obviously the feedback and advice that I'm giving. Now, by going through this video, you're going to get a really good idea of the issues which are being raised by other Amazon sellers and which you can also use as a guide to responding to IP complaints within your Amazon business. So what I'll do now is I'll share with you a compiled list of questions and obviously my feedback based on them in the next section. Let's get started. If I need to on the listing, which requires no invoice or brand authorization, is there any chance of an IP complaint? Yeah, 100%. Like, there can be brands which have never had any problem, 20 sellers the whole of the time, and then tomorrow the brand says, no, we don't want this anymore, issue IP complaint. That can happen. So there's always a chance, but you just got to be ready. It's unlikely, but there is always a chance. Past history does not predict future performance. So because there's never been an IP alert in the past doesn't mean there will never be one in the future. That's that. So, but ideally, like, they should be rare. It should be rare, so you should be fine. Like, if you get one or two. Also, so IP complaints naturally clear down after 180 days. Don't worry. Like, as long as you're not playing stupid, it should be fine. Elliot Long, what steps do you take when sourcing a product to check no IP claim will be issued, or is there never a guarantee from experience? Yeah, never a guarantee. You kind of understand which ones. So a couple of top tips. Obviously, your sourcing tool will probably help you out. Number two, look at the keeper chart. The new seller count, you want to see a history of other sellers on there going up and down. If you see big drops, that's a warning sign. If you see it's always like one or two, that's another warning sign. The third option, I'd say also as well, is look at the FastTrackFBA brand checker. You can just go to the FastTrackFBA website, and we build out a list of them as well, of like all the different brands that we have, which are, are like dangerous and we know cause problems. So that'd be it really. And you, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, your tool can be, you can look at a product and say tool is safe, lots of history, and not on the FastTrackFBA brand checker, and then tomorrow you can get an IP alert. Because they just decided to do it. There is no guarantee. There's never a guarantee. And then obviously when you do get it, fasttrackfba.com/Jeff, he's the guy we use to help us deal with IP alerts. So check him out, and he'll, like, it's a retainer a month, so that really helps out. Hi Thomas, I hope all is well. Do FBM sellers usually lodge IP claims? I've seen the listing which has 3 FBM sellers with thousands of reviews. I know Amazon EU has been on the listing previously. Okay, let me put it this way. IP complaints generally should be from the brand owner themselves. Generally. I'm not saying it always is, but it generally should be the brand owner themselves. So what does that mean? Well, it means that they can be only FBM or only FBA or a combination of FBM and FBA, and you can still get IP complaints, even if the brand itself isn't on the listing. Your short answer is, just because there are 3 FBM sellers and maybe no FBA, it would raise red flags. But for me, I'd be looking at, like, let's do some more investigation. Let's look at, like, maybe the FastTrackFBA brand checker. Let's look at anything else and try and understand why. Are we worried about this? Maybe search the brand on Google. But if I'm not seeing any reason, that I might say that has to be in the past of FBA sellers. Also as well, like, my other top tip would be, like, maybe it's just this listing. Maybe it's not priced right for FBM or FBA. So I'll go look at other listings of the same brand, and can I see other sellers on that? If I'm seeing, like, no one on any of them, then I'd probably be like, okay, I'll probably stay clear of that. But just because there are only 3 FBM doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have IP claims, it's probably more likely that it's not competitive, and then other FBA sellers aren't selling it. Hope that makes sense. If an IP complaint does come through, what would your order of steps be? I have a lawyer dealing with another IP complaint, but it's been 2 months and got nowhere. Haven't appealed it yet. I haven't appealed it yet as a lawyer. Look, I don't know who you're using. We use a guy called Jeff. FastTrackFBA.com/Jeff. He does all our IP stuff. So we have him on retainer. He's like $90 a month, I think, and he'll just deal with all our IP complaints. He kind of gives you the templates to use. It's really useful. But 2 months is way too long. We're generally within a week. We're getting answers and getting back to them. Speed is what we're doing. 2 months is way too long. I didn't know who you were using, but yeah, Jeff does it all, but my team are on it. I do have five admin VAs who work with Jeff, obviously to do lots of other stuff as well. But Jeff's just obviously the IP side, but we're always chasing them. And long story short, if Jeff gives us the letters, and the girls will just rearrange them or reuse the letter again. So just be mindful of that. I think it's going to be helpful. But IP complaints will just go back with the invoice, etc. And work with Jeff. He does answer that. Also, false parallel import claims. If you can prove you bought it within the country, that's a really simple IP complaint to overcome, because then you didn't import it, assuming you didn't import it. So yeah, it shouldn't be a problem, unless the product was imported by the manufacturer who used it. So I'm guessing who you bought it from, they buy it from legit in-country supply. So yeah, that'd be my thoughts. Yeah, just go back to your lawyer and find out. Right, so I contacted them, but no response. Also contacted Amazon, but rejected my bill. Would you be next step? FastTrackFBA.com/Jeff. Speak to him. We use him. He's really good. That really helps. Hope that makes sense. So Richie Resells. Hi, Tom. Thanks for giving up your time today. Cool. How much do you spend on average a month getting IP complaints removed with Jeff? Notice there's a charge after one IP complaint removal. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. The reason is I don't deal with it directly myself. We use Jeff with my team liaises them. We have paid in the past. I won't lie. I think if I had to guess in my head, just looking at the P&L, I think maybe over the course of a year, and I know Jeff hasn't been around for a year because he worked for a previous company who we worked with before we transferred over with him. But I think we probably paid 4 times, if I had to guess. And what you kind of learn is that, look, here's the thing. You have an IP complaint today, you could just wait until next month and then do it on that month, if that makes sense. You are technically paying $100 per removal. It's cheaper than everything else. So, and then what you kind of learn is that, a lot of the IP complaints are the same kind. So my team just get the kind of same template, and then you use that template again for another one and tweak it. And if we still struggle, then we'll get back to Jeff. So my admin these days do it. And how much time? Obviously, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But I don't think most VAs spend too much time. And if I were to define too much time, maybe an hour or 2 a week tops, absolute tops. In the UK right now, I think we have 2 IP complaints. In the USA, we have 3. That's it. We had 9 2 months ago in the USA. So we've cleared a lot of them down. So it does happen, but I hope that makes sense. I imagine it all adds up considering the number you had in the USA recently. Can it eat profits away quickly? Yes, agreed. But again, at the top of my head, looking at the P&L, only 4 we've paid for. And again, the thing for you, when you're looking at IP complaints, there's a couple of the methodology you want to think about is, first of all, prevention. So buying brands which aren't going to do it. Number 2, then is, prevention, minimization, so reacting, when things go in, updating what's happening. Number 3 is the case that, once you get them, is about removing them. And then obviously process improvement. So for me, is about really we're pretty hot on not buying bad brands. The team know what they are. Another seller I know, he literally has a list of what's known as approved brands. So if any if any purchasing manager wants to buy new brands, they have to go through a whole review process, and they might even pay a lawyer to check to see whether they've taken any sellers to court. Rather than sell it and see if it works, they go the other way. We'll only sell it if we can prove that it works, and there's no guarantee thing. So, and then that stops you having to pay the IP complaints. It's up to you. I don't think. But I think at the end of the day, even if you just waited a month and then used the next month's IP removal process, that would be fine. That's what you're kind of using. Have you had any IP issues in the past? So you can tell me what you did. Oh yeah, fine. We were just talking about that. Yeah, loads, absolute loads. I had 9 in the US at one point. I think we have 3 now. So like 2 months ago, we had 9, now we've got 3, we fight them all. We use a guy called www.FastTrackFBA.com/Jeff. It's just a shortcut. It goes through a guy called Jeff we use. The issue I'm having is that I'm selling on listings that were fine when doing the deal analysis, but the listing owner has since trademarked the bundle and registered IP complaint. Okay, cool. It says that the brand like Heinz on the analysis, and it's changed to seller's name after we get on the listing. Yeah, there's I think I know what you mean. Like there's a whole big thing right now where like people are creating unique bundles but under their brand name rather than the actual brand of the product, which is absolutely frustrating. My question would be like, was it really Heinz as the brand when you first listed it? Or was that a mistake? And I'm not saying you were right or wrong because I don't even know the listing. So number one, you've got to really investigate that. And then number two is the case that could you go back to Amazon? Do you start to take screenshots of all your listings that you're going to list on, just save them, for example? We use something called a Chrome extension, Lightshot, I think it is. And you can upload them to the website, so they're the web, so they're kind of indexed. So then you can share that to Amazon Seller Central and say, look, on this date, here's a screenshot of this. It doesn't even mean it's necessarily going to be answered because you can change the HTML code and take a screenshot. I don't know the answer, I really don't, but I do understand your concern, but there must be a way to go to Amazon and say, look, the brand's changed on the actual listing, and they can see that. And then the other one is to say that they go back and can fight it to say that the brand's been changed on the listing. And once you get Amazon to say, yes, it has been changed, and you say the IP alert should be null and void because it was never their brand in the first place. We were selling it under the correct brand. I really don't know, but the one thing that you're kind of just say under this is for me in the fact that I'd probably say you shouldn't be getting that many. You might get 1 or 2 and that should be fine, but unless you're selling all the same products and across all the same listings and all those listings have changed, that would cause that problem, which I can understand that might happen, but it should be the real exception. But then my other thought would be maybe you just want to think about changing tactic. Because obviously that tactic is because of the nature of what people are doing, changing brand names is then causing big issues for you in real IP complaints. So it might be your way of selling isn't working because of inefficiencies within the Amazon ecosystem and the way it operates in the marketplace. So that would be my thoughts. Sorry, I know it's not do this, that's the answer, but that's how I would think about it, because don't get me wrong, Amazon's not perfect. We know that. So sorry, Richie. I hope that makes sense. Right, what I'll say is after going through those most commonly asked questions, I also created another video called Top Tips on How to Respond to IP Complaints and What is an IP Complaint. And I'll drop that around here. Check that video out. I think you're going to like it. It's going to just really help level up that knowledge. But what I will say is hopefully you like this video. If you have, give me a big thumbs up. And hey, if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button down below. But for myself, Thomas Parkinson and FastTrackFBA, thank you very much.